A very good morning to you. This is Off the Shelf, and I am David Batsoffen. And seeing we've come to the end of 2024, I thought I'd take a look at just some of the books that crossed my desk and that caught my attention. Now, we're not going to go into great depth and detail into each and every one of them, but some of them that did catch my attention, and in no particular order, I will share with you. So, shall we begin? And we go straight to the top of the pile and we look at this one, and it's by David Bristow, and it's from a brand new publisher called Southern Right Publishers, sorry. And it's 20 of the best stories from the Veldt, and that's exactly what it is. 20 of the best stories from the Veldt. How David Bristow survived his childhood, I have absolutely no idea. And I don't think he has either. So give the book a read, put it on your Christmas list. You've still got one day before Christmas, so maybe you'll go out and get this. One of my favorites from the year is Wood, Iron, and Steel. This is a look at shipwrecks on the Western Cape Coast like you've never seen them before. Trust me, the photography in this is brilliant. The authors, Bruce Henderson and Kelly Graham, have put together a wonderful, wonderful book. If you're into wrecks, this is the one to have. And if you're thinking about getting into wrecks, this is the one to have. I have to tell you that although it's not a huge book, it is incredibly heavy. I was saying to the authors when I interviewed them, I think you could use this as a dive belt, as weights on your dive belt. It's that heavy, but it's a great read. And as with most of my reads, when it comes to books of this ilk, they're like what I used to call toilet reads. It's the books you put in the toilet that you can dip in and out of just in case you have nothing else to do. I'm picking up books at random, so I have no idea what will come up next. And it is The African Baobab by Rupert Watson. It's another one by This is a Penguin Random House. And there is something about baobabs. My wife, this is her favorite tree. And having recently returned from Madagascar, we were saddened that we couldn't get down to see the avenue of baobabs because it was nowhere near where we were staying. However, it means that we have to go back for another trip. But if you're into baobabs, wonderful imagery and something for your shelves. David O'Sullivan put this together, and this is a man that needs absolutely no introduction. Rassie Erasmus, the man, the myth, the legend. You want to find out more about him? Read David's book. And it is certainly, that book is certainly not this. It's not bullshit. Thank you to Jonathan Answer for putting this together. It's by Jonathan Ball Publishers, and it's an outrageous miscellany of serious and light-hearted lies, myths, untruths, fibs, fabrication that tell the tall tale of South Africa. Enough said. Something you'd like to have? Put it on your list. Most, if not all, of the books that I'm going to be referring to in this little clip do or are available online or, of course, at your favorite bookstore. The Wolf Hunt. Justin Fox, we all know this man. He has written so many novels and in so many genres. I don't know if he knows what genre his specificity lies or his specialty lies. Anyway, rip and read. And again, it's a holiday book. Maybe take it away with you. Put away the TVs and the laptops and the YouTubes and all that. Take a book with you. I know I did recently on our holiday, and it was awesome just to sit and read. Sarah Bullen, you may know her work, and this is The Other Side. She underwent, she's here. We are lucky, the world is lucky, the African spiritual ways are still alive. And that is why the world is interested in what has held us together and how we live in union with the natural world and the world of our ancestors. Having been in a coma for a length of time, Sarah knows all about The Other Side. And published by Jonathan Ball. This, again, is one, if you're into the esoteric, perhaps. He says, reaching for the next book in the pile, it's Newman's Birds by Color. How can we not have a bird book on our shelves, even if we aren't birders? I'm not a great birder, but I must have about 20 bird books, all the Cecil bird books, Ken Newman's books, Robert's birds, all of them. But this is his new one, Kenneth Newman. It's updated by Nicholas Newman, and it's published by Penguin Random House. Sticking with the animal theme, sticking with Penguin Random House, you've got to have, if you're a Kruger Park fanatic, then you have to have this. Snakes and other reptiles of the Kruger National Park. And you see they've included the blue-headed agama, the leopard tortoise, they've included a water monitor. So there's all sorts of Chogakis and nunakis. Well, not quite. These are reptiles and such that you can find in the Kruger Park. If you want to find out about what it's like being stoned, then read High Times. How this man survived, I have no idea. This is Michael Medjic, whose taste for weed, women, and the good life led him from the late 1960s Johannesburg to notoriety as one of the biggest hash and weed smugglers in North America. And he has the jail time to prove it. I didn't get to interview him. I don't think he's around anymore. But I did get to interview Roy Isakovitz, who now lives in Israel. Again, a Jonathan Ball publication. Quiet Time with the President. Again, Jonathan Ball. This is with Peter Friedland. And it's just his time when he had to do hearing aids for the president. And it was the time that he spent with him. Introvert time where he and Tata could talk. And he could voice his fears and his wants and his needs, because Peter at this time, he and his family were going through, do we relocate to Australia or not? You want to find out more? Buy the book. Crash and Burn. I like this. Glenn Osmond. Again, Jonathan Ball. Jonathan Ball do a lot of publishing, don't they? In a lot of different genres. And this is just, this is Glenn and it says here, a CEO's crazy adventures in the SA airline industry. Read this, you'll never want to fly again. But he survived it all. Gus Silber says of it, fasten your seatbelts for a fly-on-the-wall account of the turbulence that shook South Africa's low-cost aviation industry to the core. Fast-paced and gripping read, and yes, it is. One of my favorites for the year, Kurt Ellis, and what a great interview we had. Deadly Benefits, Penguin release. And it's a heart-pounding journey through the perils and deception of high-stakes game of survival, where the price of one wrong move could be life or death. If you've ever worked in the insurance industry, this is the one for you. I promise you, you will thank me. Glynis Horning's book, Waterboy, Making Sense of Her Son's Suicide, is a beautifully written book. It really and truly is. And when chatting with her about the book and about her son, I gained some insights into this boy's life and how he prepared for his death. I challenge anybody to read this book and to not be moved by it. And then, of course, there are the albums that come out this time in every year. Rico, Homework of National Unity, a new Madam and Eve collection. And this, of course, is by Stephen Francis and Rico. If you're a Madam and Eve fan, it has to be in your collection. And then, of course, there is Zapiro. And you can see what Mondli Makanya says about him on the back. I'm not going to read that, but have I got good news for you? Cartoons from the Daily Maverick. As I said, if you're a Zapiro fan, this is what should be on your shelf. I didn't know that this book, when I interviewed the author, Paul Skelton, Professor Paul Skelton, would garner such readership. But it seems that there are a lot more freshwater enthusiasts than I thought. And if you are one of those, then you certainly need this on your bookshelf. And then there is Lucky Bastard. This is Anthony Ackerman's autobiography. Again, he was adopted, and he looked back at his life as an adoptee and finding out more about who he actually was and is. So another great read. And then if you, like me, look up at the night sky every now and again, then you've got to have the 2025 Sky Guide to Southern Africa. It's an astronomical handbook, and it's published by the Astronomical Society of Southern Africa and Penguin Random House. So this one should be on your list. And just when you thought that was all, it's not. I still have more for you. I hope you're enjoying these, making notes. You, of course, can pause this, go back and find out what I've been talking about. Killer stories. Now, although names and places and faces, etc., have been hidden, if you know the cases that are referred to in this book by Bryn Hotchkiss and Nicole Engelbrecht, you'll know exactly who they're referring to. And it makes for a very, very interesting read. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into a courtroom, along comes this young lady, courageous, incisive, and defiant, Karen Maughan. She's been chasing Jacob Zuma for the last 20 years, trying to prosecute him. And I do hope that one day that she will succeed and will get the man behind bars. I will not be silenced by Tafelberg, and it is also a great read. And it takes you behind the scenes into the mind of this young woman who was thrust into this position as a journalist and who knew nothing about what was to befall her for the next 2 decades. A book that I haven't read yet because it arrived late, but it's called Introducing Hybridism in the Meantime, a guide to Black culture nuance. Brace yourself, it says on the back, for a thrilling journey into the heart of Black life and culture through the philosophy of hybridism. Maybe you'd like to give that a read. Tracy McDonald publishes. Remember Craig Foster? Remember my friend the octopus? Well, Craig's done it again. This is called The Amphibious Soul and Finding the Wild in a Tame World. Maybe something just to slow down, read, and to take you into 2025. When I interviewed Ivan, it took me a while to get his surname right. I thought Batsofen was bad enough, but I knew I was going to do this. Vladislavic. I'm sorry, Ivan. And his book, The Near North. If you're a Johannesburger like I am, then this book will also resonate with you. Streets and places and names that will call back the past. So it's a gentle, bittersweet ramble through the streets of Johannesburg with the incomparable Ivan. I was going to save this for last, but it's come up on the pile in this particular position. So Deon Meyer's new book, Leo. I have to nail my colors to the mast. I eventually got an interview with Deon this year, just a few days ago, in fact. And I've only gushed over 2 authors, and I told him this. The first one was Bryce Courtney about Power of One, which was and still is one of my all-time favorite books. And then Deon Meyer, because nobody writes a murder mystery like this man. This is Benny Crystal and Vaughn Capito at their very, very best once again. And what I found out is that Deon does an incredible amount of research into everything and every aspect of the story. There was a particular line that caused me to think he was going to kill off one of the characters, and I mentioned it to him in our chat. And he said, no, David, you can't do that. I'd already injured her or hurt her in another book. And to do it again is just being a lazy writer. And he's already working on his next one. As I said to him, the problem with the Deon Meyer books, specifically Benny and Vaughn's books, is the fact that it has a pace of its own. And you find yourself reading faster and faster and faster. And then the book is finished. And then you have to wait 2 years for the next one. Deon, please write faster, or write in English first and then in Afrikaans, or I'm just going to have to learn to read Afrikaans better. Deon Meyer's book, Leo, is currently available at Good, Bad, and Indifferent bookstores. Sally Andrews, if you followed her Tani Mari stories, well, then this book was nominated for an award. I don't remember if she won or not, but I know it was nominated. Recipes to Live For, not to die for. And I believe there is a new series, TV series in the works, which will be flighted early in 2025. Um, the baby boat, this was also an interesting one because it's got nothing really to do with babies. Well, yes, it has. It's by Rockhopper Books, and it's just a fun tale, an interesting tale of people who sailed with no electronics. There's no GPS, no electronic calculators, early 1970, no notebook communications, no communication via VHF or single sideband radio, and satellite phones, no accurate watches, no access to weather forecasts, no emergency positioning radio beacons, no lightwave small boat refrigerator, basically nothing, people. They climbed on a boat and sailed away, like in those early nursery rhymes. Get it, read it. It's a lot of fun. Um, are you a cold water swimmer? I don't know why any people are. When I first saw this picture, I thought the author was floating face downwards. She's not. She's alive and well and living in the Western Cape. Tidal Pools of the Western Cape, Sarai Dowling, with a foreword by Justin Fox and published by Rockhopper Books. Great photographs telling you all about, well, not all of the tidal pools in this area, but 37 of them. There's still more to come. So there is a second book. And if you like tidal pools, if you like to swim in cold water, this should be under your tree. Are you a fan of Spud? Well, then the reunion is out now. It's taken a while, but here it is. John van der Reet, Pan Macmillan. Thank you, Pan, for doing this one. Thank you, John, for a wonderful interview. If you've read all the other books, if you've seen the movies, again, one for your shelf. I did mention Kenneth Newman's book, and here's another one. He says, trying to lift this one up. This is Keith Barnes, Terry Stevenson, John Fanshawe, and illustrated by John Gale and Brian Small. And it's Birds of Greater Southern Africa. It's a beautifully written book and with beautifully written, beautiful illustrations, really and truly make it very easy for you to spot. Remember Ian? He's still around, people. Radio Kalahari Orkes. Nomad Heart Adventures on and Offset by Ian Roberts. Ian and I sat recently in Lydenburg and enjoyed a dinner together, which we have over the last year, every sort of couple of months. And we realized how closely our lives mirror one another. And we just talk into the early hours of the morning. He writes as he speaks. It's a great read. It really and truly is. Do you need to know about the man himself? No. Do you want to know about the man? Yes. And it's available in both English and Afrikaans. This book came to me from a publisher I knew nothing about. It's called somestuff.co.za. More some stuff I wish my dad had told me. And it's some stuff I wish my dad had told me. He probably did. I didn't listen to him. But again, it's one of those common sense books. When you read it, you go, oh, of course. Why didn't I listen? And so here you go. Hiking the Fish. If you've ever wanted to hike the Fish River, then this book is for you. It's by Henk Blankenberg and Lisette Meyer. The ultimate guide, they say. Ultimate guide? I don't know so much. But it's the ultimate guide to the Fish River Canyon Trail. And again, if you're going to be hiking that in 2025, maybe it's something that you do as part of your research. A book that I was given to review because the author was part of a panel that I hosted at an exclusive books earlier in the year. And I thought, really, the book is about a house, people. And I don't do books by houses. I really and truly don't. And then I read the blurb on the back of the book, and it still didn't sort of do it. Shubnam Khan has crafted an enthralling tale filled with love and horror, loneliness and humor. She is a masterful storyteller. And then I read the book, and I am going cold by I don't know if you can see, but the hair on my arms is standing up. If I want to say, if you read nothing else in 2025, get yourself a copy of The Lost Love of Akbar Mansell. It is a beautifully, beautifully written book. It really and truly is. It grabbed me from minute one, and I could not put it down. And when, in fact, I met Shubnam at the event, when she put out her hand to shake mine, or vice versa, I just went, I am not worthy. I really and truly felt that I wasn't, but this is a beautiful, beautiful book. Now, this next book is not from this year. In fact, I'm just trying to see when it was published. I think it's been a while. He says copyright. It doesn't give me a date. Why does it not? Anyway, it doesn't really. 2018 it came out, but it's taken me until now to find a copy and to read it. And this, he says, ladies and gentlemen, is if you read nothing else ever, read Kate Turkington's Yes, Really. Kate was my mentor when it came to starting out in travel writing. And at 90 and a few months, she still is. If you can find the book, I should imagine it's available on Amazon. Do. It's an interesting take on somebody who doesn't care. This is me, warts and all. Read me, like me, love me, hate me. It's just who I am. So, Kate, thank you very much. Finally, I have a copy to read. And that is it, people. That's 2024 from my bookshelves. I do hope that you've enjoyed this little chat with each other. And I do hope that some of the books that I've mentioned land with you and that you'll go out and you'll read. And if you haven't read up until now, then maybe now is a good time to start. I wish you all a very merry festive season, whatever you're celebrating at this time of the year. And I look forward to sharing more off-the-shelf stories with you in 2025. So from yours truly, David Batsoffen, have a safe festive season, and we'll see you in 2025.